What if the world didn't run on fairness, but on strategy? What if power wasn't about strength, but about perception? In the shadows of politics, war, and business, one name echoes through the centuries: Niccolo Machiavelli. Not because he taught cruelty, but because he exposed the truth about power, how it's gained, kept, and used. The elite do not rise through purity. They rise through precision, perception, and perfect timing. And these 10 laws are the blueprint they never wanted you to learn. Let's begin. Born in Renaissance Florence, Machiavelli lived in a world soaked in betrayal, manipulation, and shifting alliances. He watched rulers fall not for their sins, but for their mistakes. He studied men like Cesare Borgia, who ruled through dread and brilliance. He served under governments that collapsed and wrote from exile with venomous clarity. His book, The Prince, was feared because it told the truth, that power is a game of deception. Today, these ideas are studied in silence by politicians, CEOs, warlords, and monarchs. What you're about to hear has been practiced by empires, hidden behind smiles and cloaked in diplomacy. These are not suggestions, these are instructions. Law 1: conceal your intentions. The prince who hides his intentions cannot be stopped. Machiavelli begins here for a reason. The moment your enemies know your true goal, they will work to block it. Invisibility is the first shield of the strategist. Powerful people master the art of ambiguity. They talk often but reveal nothing. They speak of ideals, dreams, and alliances, but never of actual objectives. This law is not just about lying, it's about becoming unreadable. To the public, you seem transparent, but behind the performance, your real intentions are layered beneath layers. You may appear generous while plotting conquest, appear indecisive while planning a ruthless strike. This principle is not passive, it is predatory. The tiger that stalks in silence eats well. The most dangerous man is not the loud one. It's the one whose moves cannot be predicted and whose silence builds tension. That is how kings play. Law 2: it is better to be feared than loved. It is much safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. This is perhaps Machiavelli's most infamous declaration, and most misunderstood. In a world driven by emotion, he offers a brutal clarity. Affection is optional. Fear is leverage. Love is built on trust, admiration, and emotional connection, all of which are fragile, easily broken, and dependent on the other person's consistency. Fear, on the other hand, is a boundary, a structure, a signal that certain lines cannot be crossed without consequence. Machiavelli never advocated cruelty for its own sake. He understood human nature. He knew that when times grow uncertain, fear binds stronger than love. But here's the nuance. He did not promote tyranny. He promoted controlled fear, a reputation that precedes you, an energy that demands respect even in silence. Fear is not about violence. It is about energetic dominance. It is the calm certainty that others will not test your will. Consider the lion. It does not roar to be feared. Its stillness is what makes others freeze. Its silence makes others adjust. Machiavelli instructs us to cultivate that aura, not through force, but through the strategic architecture of presence. Be kind when it costs you nothing. Be feared when it protects everything. Power is not about being liked. It is about being respected in your absence. Love is preferred, but fear is reliable. If you must choose one, Machiavelli's wisdom remains unchanged centuries later. Choose to be feared. Law 3: appear virtuous, while acting strategically. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you truly are. This is one of the most dangerous and divine of all power laws. It is the art of illusion, to cloak your strategies in the robes of virtue. Machiavelli knew that the world is ruled not by reality, but by perception. If you appear noble, honest, and kind, people will rarely question what lies beneath. They will hand you power willingly. This is not deception for cruelty's sake. It is camouflage for survival. The most powerful men in history were actors. Their stage, the battlefield, the palace, the boardroom, their audience, the masses, eager to believe in the myth of morality. Wear the mask of righteousness, speak of unity, generosity, and loyalty. But behind your eyes, move the pieces like a master tactician. When you must strike, do so not with hesitation, but under the banner of justice. Let others believe your moves are fair, while every step serves your ultimate objective. The crowd will cheer for the king who protects them, even if that king quietly eliminates his rivals. This law is not for the weak. It requires poise, patience, and the discipline to restrain your hunger behind a calm smile. It is the balance of the mystic and the manipulator. Appear virtuous, act strategically, and you will move unseen through walls built to stop lesser men. Law 4. Weaponize your enemy's strength. A wise ruler must learn how to profit from the nature of his enemies. This law is not about brute strength. It is about mastery of inversion, the ability to take your enemy's best traits and turn them into their greatest weakness. Study their pride, use it to bait them into overreach. Study their morality, use it to bind them with guilt. Study their power, use it to collapse their overconfidence. Machiavelli understood that the path to dominance is not resistance, it's redirection. Just as water wears down stone, subtlety defeats brute force. A smart ruler doesn't confront a lion, he traps it. He uses its size against it. The enemy's strength becomes a mirror, showing you where they are blind. If they are generous, exploit their need to be seen as noble. If they are known for justice, force them to defend the guilty. If they rely on speed, slow them. If they rely on loyalty, plant doubt. You are not attacking them. You are turning their identity into their downfall. In the shadow arts of power, the highest form of victory is to use the energy of your enemy to destroy their own position, while keeping your hands clean. Let your enemies fall on the very sword they sharpened. That is the signature of the strategist. Law 5. Control the narrative, control the world. Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. All men have eyes, but few have the gift of penetration. The battlefield has shifted. In Machiavelli's time, power moved with the sword. Today, it moves with the story. He understood this centuries ago. Perception shapes reality. Whoever controls the narrative controls what people believe. And belief, when mass adopted, becomes law, regardless of truth. This law is not merely political, it is spiritual. It is strategic sorcery. You don't need to change the facts, you need to change what they mean. When others make moves, give them a name. When you make moves, give them a reason. And make sure that reason spreads before your opposition speaks. Control the first word, and the last will belong to you. This is how emperors justify conquest, how tyrants become liberators, how failure becomes sacrifice, and dominance becomes destiny. The narrative is the weapon that works without blood. Let others chase facts. You shape what people feel. You shape what they share, and that shapes the world. Control the narrative. and you never need to beg for power. It will come to you, crowned in belief. Law 6. Strike decisively or not at all. It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret. Hesitation is the silent killer of empires. It is not always your enemy that defeats you. It is your own pause, your own doubt. Machiavelli taught that power favors the bold, not because they are reckless, but because they understand timing is sacred. A decisive strike does more than remove an obstacle. It sends a message. I am not to be tested. I am not to be delayed. The weak deliberate endlessly, waiting for certainty. The strong create certainty through action. This law demands you trust your preparation and read the moment with precision. Strike when the window is open, not after you've asked permission from fear. In politics, business, and war, the opportunity rarely knocks twice, and once lost, your hesitation becomes blood in the water. When you act, act fully. Leave no ambiguity. Let your decision cut through resistance like obsidian, sharp, swift, and unquestionable. The world rewards those who move when others blink. Strike decisively, or not at all. Law 7. Build alliances cautiously and with calculated depth. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. Machiavelli viewed alliances not as sacred oaths, but as tactical arrangements, useful and expendable. Power, by nature, is isolating. The more you have, the more others seek to tap into it. Appearances will tempt you to connect widely, to collaborate often. But those who rise too quickly on the backs of allies often fall by their hands. This law is about clarity, not paranoia. Not all alliances are traps, but every alliance must be measured by 3 things. Leverage, who benefits more? If it's not you, you are already in a weaker position. Motivation, why do they want you involved? Watch not what they say, but where they gain. Exit strategy, can you leave at any moment? If not, it's not a partnership, it's a leash. Here's how you build alliances that strengthen, not weaken you. Start with silence. Let the other party reveal their intent fully before you show your own. Ask questions, observe their patterns, learn what they value. Make them need you. Don't offer everything. Give just enough to make yourself indispensable. Value increases with mystery. Keep your power decentralized. Never tie your entire fortune, plan, or reputation to a single alliance. Spread your assets. Diversify your dependencies. Real-life example? Look at empires. Rome made and broke alliances with city-states based solely on advantage. When the value ended, so did the pact, not out of malice, but out of strategy. In modern terms, you may partner with influencers, business mentors, investors, or even close friends. But always retain the ability to walk away unscathed. Never ally with someone you cannot afford to confront later. This law isn't about fear. It's about structure. Even the most powerful throne can be pulled down by the hands that once helped lift it. Use alliances to rise. Never let them chain you at the peak. Law 8. Anticipate betrayal before it arrives. He who believes that new benefits will cause great personages to forget old injuries is deceived. In the world of power, betrayal is not an anomaly. It is part of the design. And Machiavelli, more than any other, understood that those who ignore betrayal are not just naive, they are volunteering to be devoured. To hold power, you must assume betrayal is inevitable. This is not cynicism, it is vision. When power is on the table, even the most loyal ally becomes a potential rival. Every man has a threshold, a moment when greed, fear, envy, or ambition overtake their oath. So you must become a forecaster of loyalty. You must read eyes, listen between words, and detect shifts in energy long before a sword is drawn. Here's how betrayal reveals itself before it strikes. Sudden obedience. When someone becomes overly agreeable, they may be hiding resistance. Unnecessary praise. Flattery is often a mask for hidden agendas. Be wary of applause that comes too quickly. Distancing behavior. When a once close ally pulls back without cause, they are likely realigning behind your back. Machiavelli didn't advise paranoia. He advised preparation. He instructed princes to test loyalty subtly, often by giving small responsibilities that reveal true intent. Give your allies influence over what doesn't matter, and observe how they wield it. If they abuse a small power, they will betray a great one. Historical example: Julius Caesar was betrayed by Brutus, a man he loved as a son. Why? Because Caesar believed gratitude could silence ambition. It couldn't. In your world, betrayal may not come with daggers. It may come as stolen credit, a silent exit, a whisper behind closed doors. To anticipate betrayal, you must master detachment. Never be so dependent on any person that their betrayal becomes your collapse. Trust, but watch. Reward, but test. Share power, but never its source. Because those who betray do not appear as enemies. They arrive smiling, while sharpening their intentions in the dark. Law 9, win through action, not argument. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. The second is to measure what he does, not what he says. Arguments are the currency of the powerless. They talk, explain, debate, and defend. But those who command true influence understand this. Power is demonstrated, not declared. Words create expectations. Actions create momentum. And in the arena of dominance, momentum crushes all opposition. Machiavelli warned that the weak often seek validation through explanation, trying to persuade their way into control. But power doesn't seek approval. It asserts itself. Think of a king who must constantly justify his rule. He is already losing it. A general who explains his strategy to the enemy, already compromised. You must become the type of person who moves first and speaks last. Here's how to apply this law practically. Use silence to build pressure. Before making a decision, say nothing. Observe how others react to your stillness. It creates tension, and power thrives in tension. Let results speak louder than declarations. Don't announce your goals. Surpass them without ceremony. Let others find out through the shift in atmosphere. When challenged, act, don't explain. The fastest way to destroy opposition is not with a rebuttal, but with a move they didn't expect. Modern application? In business, while others argue over trends, you execute, you release, you dominate a niche without a word. In negotiation, while they talk, you move assets, you change the leverage. The lesson is clear. Don't try to win the conversation, win the position. Victory is not granted to those who are right, but to those who act while others hesitate. Let the world talk. You move. Law 10, leave a legacy of fear and respect. The memory of power is more lasting than its presence. The final law is not about conquest. It is about permanence. Most men focus on the present moment, chasing applause, short victories, or temporary praise. But Machiavelli taught that the truly powerful do not just dominate now, they embed themselves into the minds of others for generations. To rule today is useful. To echo tomorrow is eternal. This law commands that you shape not just outcomes, but your reputation. Your legacy must be sharp enough to cut through time, a blend of awe and apprehension, not just love, not just success, but a brand of respect that others whisper about long after you've left the room. How do you do this? Be unpredictable. The one who cannot be anticipated becomes a figure of myth. Let others struggle to define you. Make every major move irreversible. When you act, change the terrain. Burn the bridge behind you. Let others see that your decisions reshape the world they live in. Choose symbols over speeches, a crown, a silence, a refusal. Your legend will be built on the things you didn't say, and the moments when your presence alone made others tremble. Craft your personal myth. Control the story of your rise. Rewrite your scars into symbols of power. Let the world believe you saw further, moved faster, and played deeper than they ever could. Historical example? Alexander the Great died young, but his name still echoes across centuries. Why? Because his image was carved into coins, into language, into the psychology of kings who came after him. Even in death, his legend lived on as a benchmark of power. In your world, your legacy is built every time you say no with clarity, strike with precision, or remain silent when others scream. Let others chase approval. You build an identity that survives storms. Because when power fades, only respect laced with fear remains. That is what keeps doors open. That is what keeps enemies distant. That is what defines a ruler who doesn't just win, but cannot be forgotten. Closing reflection. You've just been handed a forbidden playbook, not of fantasy, but of reality. These 10 laws are not morals, they are not ethics. They are frameworks of power refined over centuries. Most will forget them, a few will fear them, but those who integrate them will be remembered. You don't need a crown to move like a king. You don't need a sword to command presence. You need only the discipline to apply what others fear to learn. The world is ruled by those who understand structure, timing, silence, and force cloaked in calm. Use these laws to build something enduring, not just wealth or status, but inner sovereignty. Because true power isn't what others give you, it's what they cannot take away. If this opened your mind, subscribe to the Obsidian Order. Comment which law you've already seen in action or broken, and prepare yourself, because in the next chapter, we'll enter the mind of Marcus Aurelius and unlock the mental code of the philosopher kings. Power begins within,